This is a feature story from the Show versus Business podcast. Enjoy.
But so, hey, everyone, we're going to move on to our next feature, the Arrowverse. The Arrowverse. So for those that don't know, the CW has been instrumental for a long time in creating, basically DC TV content, live action TV content since 2012 with the release of Arrow. Which ran for 8 seasons and recently, I think last year, a year and a half ago, ended its series. So we brought on Andy because, this is something Ben and I kind of played around with. We all kind of watch them. I mean, I'm in and out. I think, Ben, you're maybe in and out. But these shows have been around for a while, as we can see, almost 10 years now. And we just kind of want to do a check-in, Ben, and Andy, on the quality of these shows, the thoughts on what you think about these shows. This is just kind of a check-in, So I don't know. Go ahead.
Let's see. Let's back up for a second before we just cannonball into the deep side of the pool here. So we're all in this little Facebook group, and we talk about, hero movies and, the latest Marvel DC thing coming out. And over time, I noticed Andy was always saying, "Hey, that was a great episode of The Flash last night." I was like, "Really? I'm about 3 episodes behind. I'm about 3 episodes behind. I should go check it out." And Andy just kept coming through with all the Arrowverse references, and then Supergirl came out, and he was like, "Oh, new trailer up," and I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know." So over time, I've come to know Andy as the Arrowverse, CW verse, Berlanti verse,
Whisperer.
I don't know if I like that reputation. I don't.
Okay, sorry. Apologies. So,
it's all good, though.
But yeah, how did you? Where did all this come from? I don't even know. You say it started with Arrow. Why the CW? Because that always surprised me. Why did they have a verse?
Yeah. Okay, I was actually just talking about this with a friend of mine. So the thing that I find fascinating about this, right, is that like the CW definitely has a demographic. Like their specialty is like teeny bopper TV, right?
Yeah.
Let's just face it. So when I look at like the success of the Arrowverse and kind of where its lineage, I kind of have to go on a whole linear path from this all begins with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Ooh. It moves on to and in terms of establishing a format, and then it moves on to Smallville, which basically it really was Superman as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And from Smallville to the Arrowverse. And all of this is still fitting this kind of teeny bopper soap with superpowers and using kind of the allegorical nature of superheroes or powered beings to fuel teeny bopper soap. Which is a deeper analysis than this is worth, but but I do find it really fascinating how how it's evolved, B, how it's basically held up this network, right? Mm-hmm. And how I think it's evolving right now, because I do feel like the Arrowverse has kind of peaked a little bit. And you can kind of feel, in my opinion, like even they're kind of tired of their shtick. Like it's to a point where like they're not even trying anymore. I mean, you can actually even feel like if you watch Legends of Tomorrow, like Legends of Tomorrow is their complete left field show where they can decide to be completely free of any, canon or timeline or whatever, and they can just do whatever, just embrace the ridiculousness of everything that they are doing. And that irreverence, is the beginning of it. But then you look at the new Superman and Lois show, and it's the first kind of, okay, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. Because it's like there's still the teeny bopper soap aspect to it, but it's very, at the same time, it's still very much kind of a midlife crisis Superman show, which I've found quite interesting.
No. Well, let's give a little bit more context for those that don't watch. Yeah, the Arrowverse, right? So we're going to cover about, off and on, just high level, about 7 different shows. Arrow was the first one that was premiered, and basically it gave us the kind of backstory and origins of Oliver Queen, also known as the Green Arrow. So basically, it was kind of like the Iron Man, right? For like DC, right? It's kind of like it's kind of like this off-brand kind of character that we didn't really care about too much. I mean, I wasn't a big, Green Arrow fan growing up. I mean, he was always kind of there in the Justice League, kind of like Hawkeye.
He's Hawkeye,
there,
but tough.
Well,
he's and rich.
He's kind of like, yeah, exactly. He's rich. He's got money, and he's like
even
Hawkeye.
Even the Oliver Queen, as he is depicted now, is not the Oliver Queen of the comics, right? Like, I mean, Oliver Queen, if you go back to like the comics of the 60s and 70s, he was kind of a hippie industrialist, right? Like they used him. They did basically their answer to Captain America and Falcon with Green Lantern and Green Arrow, and it was them crossing the country, with a power cosmic dude and a guy with a bow and arrow, figuring out America during the civil rights movement. It's like, what's going on, right? He's like, here's 2 characters we don't know what to do with. Yeah, let's do that. But but the Arrow that we have in the Arrow was, let's just say it's a Batman ripoff. It's basically the Arrow trying to be Bruce Wayne. And that was also born from Smallville, where they introduced the Green Arrow character when the Batman rights were not accessible because they wanted to.
Well, but they did introduce the character. The character, what was his name? Dark or something, and he showed up. He was supposed to be like a Batman. Oh man, you see, I'm digging in the crates about looking at my research, but there was a character that they introduced. It was played by Ian Smoderhold or something like that. He was from Lost, and he played like this dark character, mysterious stranger that showed up in Smallville, and he was supposed to kind of quote unquote be Batman, but they named him something else.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'll look it up separately. But to your point, yes, they introduced Green Arrow in the Smallville, and then now they just kind of rewrote the whole character and created a whole new guy, like you said, like a Batman ripoff. So high level. So, we don't want to get into too many details, because people watch it yourself. It's on, you can stream it anytime on Netflix. Let's talk about 3 things. Did you like the series as a whole? What do you think worked? What do you think didn't work? And then, was that a good place to jump off where we got all these other shows that came out of it?
We're talking about starting with Arrow.
That's correct. Let's start with Arrow, because that was the one that kind of just created everything.
So, I liked it. I thought the lore was kind of cool. I didn't get onto it until I'd gotten onto the Flash, actually. So I had to actually go back and then was like, oh, okay, this Arrow guy is kind of decent. I don't have a television version of Batman, so I'll watch this green guy. That was seriously my thought. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know Oliver Queen, but all right, no Batman. I got this. Boom. Yeah, I was fine with it. I mean, it's the CW, so it's really light, but I wasn't getting any live action DC, on the regular. So between Flash and Arrow, that's how I got jumped in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would say, it was interesting, like when you look at those first couple seasons where they really were making an attempt to kind of respond to, what was prominent DC storytelling at that time, which was the Nolan Batman. So it was this gritty, I mean, like basically when you look back and it's like Oliver Queen is basically a serial killer. Like he's kind of obsessed. He's got a list of people that he's gonna kill. Like he's going to kill them. This is not like, like
viewership just went up by you saying that, by the way.
Yeah. And they kind of walk that back through the seasons, but let's face it, the beginning it was pretty dark, and then he does the whole gag where he has the bar and he jumps up the thing and there's abs and muscles and shit. So I mean so you had this combination of kind of gritty dark crime drama murder guy, and teeny bopper soap.
Yeah. I mean, I like you. I kind of watched it the first season, and it was just like you said, Ben. I mean, I watched that before I watched The Flash, so I started watching that, but it was just too dark for me. I like Slade Wilson, and I did like the flashbacks to the island. So they kind of give you a sense of like how he started and how he became evolved. Quick question: did those ever make sense at the very end? Did they really link that together well? Because it seemed like it was like.
Okay.
Just put on the actor with a bad wig, and he was just like a nerd, and then all of a sudden, now he's got abs.
Okay, it made sense, but to answer your second part, did it link together well? Absolutely not.
I don't think so. There was like one season when they went back where he thought he got off the island, but then when they go pick him up, and they said, "Well, we got a special." Mission for you this season. And so I thought you escaped already. Why are you going back to the island?
No, he escapes the island a few different times, and it's like, what?
See,
wait, you're in Hong Kong now?
That show, you could, at least my point of view, you could watch it and say, oh, they're going back to the island? Okay, some assistant production manager must have gotten a promise to do the island scene, and he was probably throwing a notebook around the office. Come on, you said I'd be able to do the island scene. All right, we're going back to the island. Screw it. This is a CW. No one's gonna care.
Oh man, but like I said, I admire the take and what they were doing with it, and it was definitely something to watch, like you both mentioned. And I would jump in here and there for different things. Obviously, the crossover event we'll talk about. The two crossover events they did. Kind of had to watch it so what's going on. so anyway, but I wasn't a big watcher of it. But to your point, Ben, it was really when they spun off and create the Flash character. That's when I started to get hooked on it, right? Because the Flash to me was my CW show, and I thought the way they did that show was like it's definitely a lighter show. It had more sci-fi elements with the Flash. Now, he was a speedster, and I think the characters were compelling, and all that. And so to me, and right now it started in 2014. It's still on 7 seasons, but it's starting to show its age when we now have 2 main characters starting to leave now. But to me, the Flash really started off like those first 3-4 years. I was there every Tuesday. But I don't know, Andy, were you a big, Flash guy too when it first came out, or was it kind of like, it's not as good as the Arrow?
Actually, no. I mean, I think I didn't really start taking the Arrow seriously until the Flash came on as well. And the big thing with that was that the Flash really just kind of embraced the fun of this, right? I mean, it's bright colored costumes and superheroes doing good. It's like, this is kind of fun. I mean, that was by second season, like you got one episode with Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah,
like
when they did that,
yeah. Gorilla, Gorilla. It's like, oh, you did it. Okay, you're actually going to do it. Yeah, commit. That's what we've been asking for years. Just commit to the craziness. That also, and okay, credit where credit's due. Like that first season arc of the idea of kind of revealing who Reverse Flash was. I thought actually that was pretty brilliant. Honestly, of basically making your big bad a central character and saving that reveal. Like I thought that was pretty bold.
Yeah, I agree. I like that part. I mean, but like everything with the Flash, all revolved around him going faster. So it's kind of like to become. You're not going fast enough, Barry. You gotta go faster.
Run, Barry, run,
Barry. It's not a Flash episode without someone saying, "Run, Barry, run as fast as you can." So, but I like the characters, man. I mean, we can go into like Harrison, like the Kavanaugh. What's the actor's first name? But Tom Kavanaugh.
Tom Kavanaugh.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
because every scenery.
Oh man, and every season he plays a different character, a little offshoot of Harrison. So that's hilarious to me. And then the fun of that, then the Cisco character. I mean, basically he's like a comic book nerd, placed inside a TV show. He comes up with all the names initially. Obviously the main character, Grant Gustav, is it Gustin? Is that how you pronounce his last name? Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's like you say, he brings that lighter side to it, and really funny guy. And Iris, I think she's come on her own now. I think she's really kind of a capable lead. So all the characters, I mean, are great, man. Even Jesse L. Martin as the dad figure, man. I thought that's been great.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's what kind of drew me in was the characters, and the interplay of all the characters. And you watch some of I went to YouTube in preparation for this and looked at some of their blooper reels, and it was just kind of funny, because they're saying a lot of scientific talk and gobbledygook, and they're like always fumbling on their words and just cussing and saying shit. We gotta do this over again. Fuck. But they are,
Pause. We gotta. All right, Theo. I'm gonna start writing down these words, man, because last time you said flabbergasted. And this time, you legitimately said gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook.
Gook. My bad. Get it right. Oh, you have been watching the Flash. You have been watching the Flash, haven't you?
Oh man, I love it, man. That stuff was like great. And then like how, if you're, I wasn't a Flash guy, but then they introduced all the different characters. Like, he has an extensive rogues gallery, right? Just kind of like Batman and Spider-Man. So they start introducing those characters too.
Even on the hero side, man, like they brought what's his name? Firestorm?
Yep.
Firestorm. That is like such a bizarre, weird character to decide you want to try and put that on like primetime network television.
But dude, we all remember it, man. Wait, hold on,
young guy.
We all remember it though. Why do we all remember it though? Why do we know Firestorm?
From the cartoon.
Did he premiere on Super Friends?
Yes,
that's what it is.
Super Friends, man. Come on. We all know Matter of fact, I remember when they introduced the character, man. You got hype Sunday, Saturday morning. They're like, "There's a new character coming out," and we're like, "Oh shit, who's coming out?" It was like this nerdy kid and his professor, and they become this one character. We're like, "Oh shit, they about to do it." So yeah, man, that's how we know Firestorm. But yeah, you're right. They introduced Firestorm. I thought that was awesome. I mean, a lot of great things came out of that, and then I mean, that kind of led into the other shows. I mean, we can talk about Legends of Tomorrow, but also Supergirl. What were your thoughts on these kind of like second generation Arrowverse type shows? What are your thoughts on those?
I traditionally wait for Andy to say, "Hey, something cool happened in episode 4," and then I'll go watch that. But aside from that, I kind of fell off on him. Legends of Tomorrow, there was some Hawk Girl stuff going on. I was like, okay, and I don't know. I couldn't stick with it for long.
Legends I've enjoyed because, like I said earlier, they early on just embraced the wacky. Like they tried to go super serious. Like they hired one of the previous Doctor Who actors to be kind of their central character in the first season. And, they ended up dumping him like maybe by halfway through the first season or something like that. Because they're like, no, this is all ridiculous. Let's just embrace it being ridiculous.
Which began their rotation of characters that go through. For those that don't know, Legends Tomorrow is basically a dumping ground. Forever, every character or anybody ever showed up on Arrow or the Flash or Supergirl, they just dump them over there, man. And see if they work out. And some stay, some leave, some come back. So it's kind of a weird show to your point, but they do embrace the fun of it, right? Like you said, initially it was not like that, but they started to embrace the fun of, they've done like, so I love shows, especially if you like the show where they start doing like musical episodes, now that could also mean that they're run out of creative ideas, but when they start doing musical shows or like doing, this is really a TV show, so let's go behind the scenes and see what's really happening. So Supernatural did that in its later years as well. But I mean, I liked it. I mean, I'm not an avid watcher, but I'll watch, I read reviews and they said there's something you should watch. I'll go check it out. But are you one of those that watch it religiously, or you just feel like, hey, it's just something to catch on if it's, if it's on?
I think it's something to catch on. It's like, I mean, I do, want to stay up to date with it. But I would say, I mean, at this point of the Arrowverse shows, like that's probably the one I'm most looking forward to now.
I do give them their Crisis series. Anytime they do a big crisis, the legends are usually central to that whole thing. But I really like when they do that. I think some of those crossovers and story mixed matches or whatever get cobbled together. I think that's all just beautifully, weirdly, not seriously done, but excellent.
Yeah,
definitely. The legends lead
agreed.
that.
Like they started with just the crossovers episodes with Arrow and Flash, and of course once they added Supergirl into the fold, then it became, each of the three different ensembles trying to intersect. But like once they committed to doing their version of Crisis, I was like, wait, this has been the thing that I've been saying someone needs to do for a while, right? Because they didn't just blend between their shows. They went back and pulled up the cast from The Flash in the 1990s.
Oh yeah,
and then they pulled up Kevin Conroy to be Batman. They even had some Easter eggs for old they had Brandon Routh. They had Brandon Routh reprising his Superman character from Superman Returns.
Yeah.
So before we get into Crisis too much, real quick, Supergirl. Let's not gloss over that too much.
Okay.
It started off on CBS. It was supposed to be this big splashy fall show. Didn't last 1 year there, and then everybody thought it was going to get canceled. Then they brought it to the CW, and so now I ran from there. And then, unfortunately, I think it just recently got canceled. So I did check that out. I think a couple episodes in the beginning. I kind of tired of it. I mean, I like the actress. I like what she was bringing to the character. Kind of like that lighter, Grant Gustin kind of Melissa Benoist, I think that was her name.
Yeah.
And I think she brought some levity to it, and also that's what they introduced the Superman we see in Superman Lois that we see now in Superman and Lois. So real quick, before we gloss onto that, thoughts on the Supergirl. Was that any good in your opinion, Andy, or did you watch it, or
I did, and I enjoyed it for the first couple seasons for what it was. And I thought, there was a lot of kind of cool things they were doing in terms of on-screen Superman. I may have also been really bitter because I hated Man of Steel. But
hot take, not really.
So, but I didn't hate Man of Steel. I hated Man of Steel. But here's the thing, though. It really kind of went where you had Arrow doing kind of this darker version, and then you had Flash doing kind of this fun, goofball thing. You had Supergirl to really kind of push back into the teeny bopper teen girl thing, and it went hard into that, which I completely understand why it alienated a lot of fans with that, because it's definitely going for the what is it, the teen Vogue audience, and there are accusations of them kind of leaning heavily into an SJW, and I hate throwing that term around because I think it's overused, but kind of leaning into an SJW perspective. There are people who kind of make claims that it's diversity or representation is forced, which I think is an unfair assessment, because the representation is still there in ways that it's not on a lot of shows. So,
but this brings up a good point. I mean, because you're right. I think they started to get into more politically different thinking. They kind of introduced, one of the main characters was LGBT, and trans, things like that, and start to open that. And so that kind of leads us into the two new shows that were released, Black Lightning and Black Woman.
Real quick, I can never forgive Supergirl for their portrayal of Brainiac.
Oh, Brainy
of Legion Brainy, basically.
Oh God,
right? Yeah, Brainy, dude. Brainiac could be anything, man. He's a robot, man.
Except they make him as anything, bad man. As that. That's where I drew the line. I'm sorry. Carry on. Diversity, Black Lightning.
Okay, but were you? Did you read any of the Legion comics?
Yeah.
Like, were you familiar with that?
Yeah, when he was like the
incarnation of Brainiac?
Legion kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You just didn't like the character. I get it.
No, super.
I didn't like the James Olsen character either, man. He was whiny, man. He's too
Yeah,
whiny
he was.
for me.
When what did he become? He became the shield dude, or what?
Yeah,
that was
Guardian. Was it Guardian?
Guardian. Yeah, that was just just trying too hard.
No, man. I just get out of here. So, but that leads to open the door to these other shows that we kind of talked about a little bit. The Black Lightning and Batwoman.
Yeah.
Kind of lead into more diverse stories. More socially aware stories with Batwoman being led by LBGT. Actor and character, and then obviously Black Lightning by basically a whole black cast, right? And so I did try to watch on my personal. I tried to watch Batwoman, a couple episodes with Ruby Rose, and didn't get into it too much. And then Black Lightning, I think I watched a couple episodes. I said I was gonna watch it later. Then we got back to it. Then I tried to watch it with my kids. No, it's too adult right now for my kids.
Way you're too probably adult. Right? Yeah, I didn't think about it from the kids. I didn't think about it from the kids' perspective because it's so. I don't know. I don't want to say kiddie, but it's like bouncy and kind of yay. But then the themes are pretty heavy. So.
Oh, they're heavy, man. Drug use and just cussing and this and that, which is fine. I think they're trying to go for a little bit more gritty angle, and I like the family angle of it. But I haven't got into it, unfortunately. It looks like it kind of just recently ended. But I like what they were going for, right? But unfortunately, I did not support it as much as I would like to. So I didn't know, Andy. Do you have any thoughts on those two shows, or did you get?
I tried to get into Black Lightning, and I absolutely saw merits. I think like you, I just kind of like it just couldn't hold me, and I honestly couldn't tell you why. It just didn't. Yeah.
You chose Brainiac. You chose Brainiac over Black Lightning. Unbelievable.
I petered off on Supergirl also. I just like I can't. I will admit there's like a good year for a lot of these shows where I'm like, and that was the surprise of this year of this season of Flash, where this is like the second half of last season and this season where I'm just like, it's work now.
Yeah. You're powering through, huh? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I admire the effort and what they were doing, and the storylines were basically, basically ripped from the headlines kind of thing, dealing with certain these cities. He was a high school principal in the inner city. But and then I know with Batwoman is kind of controversial, right? Where they had the lead actress. I guess she was just like, fuck this, I don't want to do this no more. So she just dropped the.
Yeah, she screwed up her back or something like that.
She said, they ain't watching my back, so I'm out of this piece. So they brought in literally a black actress to take her place, and a new character. Has this character ever existed in the comic books?
Nah, it's completely new.
Wow. So we're good for her. And so, so we'll see, I think,
did you say Batwoman's been canceled now too? Or
I heard it was,
wow.
They got one more season. I think they're going to try to do one because everything with the pandemic, right. Kind of slowed cancellations down, but, we'll see what they do with it. And then, we'll go into the Superman Lois angle, but the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I know we were talking about that, where they started doing these major crossovers. There was the first crossover they did, I think it was a smaller one. I can't remember what it was about. It was basically just a way for them to get together about some
it's like what aliens come down.
Yeah, invasion.
It's a worldwide threat.
It was an invasion, and so they kind of got together and try to but it was really the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they try to recreate the classic DC comic book that we grew up on, right? Where they basically reset everything to make sense. I mean, it was basically two ways. They wanted to do it. Number one, to obviously make money, right? But the other thing was, right, the continuity had gotten so screwed up that they had to figure out a way to erase all these freaking worlds. I think they had like all this multiverse worlds, and you had like, Batman was over here and Superman was over here. But that Superman, he was the one that went to the Legion, in the year 3000. But this Superman didn't know about that. And so it was kind of like they had to figure out a way to kind of consolidate that. So they create the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor to come and kind of basically erase everything. And, spoiler alert for 45, 40-year-old old storyline, but basically Flash dies in that crisis, right, in the comic book, right? And so the original Flash, Wally.
Flash and Supergirl, too.
Oh, Supergirl did die. You're right. That's right. She was a skeleton, right? The little, little artist got well, no, the classic scene to me is when he's on, but Flash stories are just hilarious, man. Why does he have a cosmic treadmill? I just don't understand that. It's like, I gotta run fast, and he's on a treadmill to get his speed up. I just never.
Hey man, Peloton's got that tech, boy.
So anyway, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he unfortunately did not make it, and so they reset the timeline in the comic books, right? And so I think they were doing something similar for the TV show, but this time they kind of flipped the script, and somebody major dies, right? I wonder who that was. And so not to give a spoiler, people want to go watch it, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, and that's when they kind of basically consolidated. They also solved a problem for the TV shows because you remember Supergirl was in her own little world. And so they finally had to figure a way to bring her there. And like you said, Black Lightning was doing his own thing. So they wanted to kind of bring them together. So they kind of found a way to kind of bring all these worlds together. And so what did you guys think? I think you guys both kind of liked the Crisis on Infinite Earths when they did it. I mean, any big other things?
Those were the high points. I mean, to me, because I'm usually looking for this straightforward storyline, hero conflict, blah blah blah. That's usually what I'm kind of going for. These things throw that idea out the window and just like, hey, we're having a romp, we're doing this. Oh my God, what's this? Ezra Miller's gonna show up. Hi, you didn't think that would happen? Just all this madness
Burt
going
Ward
on.
shows up and says, holy whatever the thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what he said.
They took it back to 1990s Flash, man. I love that show, man. I'm surprised that they did that, man. That was awesome. So, and then they did Birds of Prey for a hot second. I think they did everything.
That's right, they did. They got the actress who played
Huntress.
Huntress.
Yeah. Then they had the old Batman. He showed up. The Batman from the anime series, the voice, but he showed up as some other character.
Conroy.
Yeah,
which they conceived for Michael Keaton, and they dreamed big, but of course they didn't get him, so they went like, okay.
Oh, Michael Keaton did he wasn't doing shit, man. Come on, we're playing the Vulture, man. Get the hell out of here, man.
But eventually they got him. I mean, they got him he's going to be in the new Flash movie, so.
Oh, he is? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to be an old Batman with Ezra Miller.
Man, well, that's a whole nother conversation about MCU versus DC. So who comes with these ideas first, right? You had Batman v Superman, then you had Civil War, but Civil War came out first, but didn't Batman v Superman was conceived before. So and then now they got this whole multiverse thing, and so now who's coming out first with these ideas. So it's kind of interesting. Kevin Feige, man, he's just he's just running rings around DC, but that's neither here nor there. But I liked them too. I thought Crisis on Infinite Earths, was great what it was. I mean, it's kind of, one thing about these shows, man, just the special effects. I mean, you just gotta, go with it. I commend them, bravo, totally. Bravo. But now, they're doing what they can, man. But they're stretching that budget though, man. And when they do this Crisis Infinite, you see all the scenes, man. It's like
well, I mean, even going back to Arrow, where it's like this hidden island in supposed to be in Southeast Asia, but has all of these pines and firs, and is clearly just like British Columbia. It's like.
But that's definitely something that but when you got like Grant jumping running up walls with the streak behind him, right, or throwing lightning, or running back in time and stuff like that, it's like, oh man, they're stretching it. So but yeah, I commend them for it. And then obviously I think even before that they start introduce Supergirl's cousin Superman into the Arrowverse, right, played by, did you know that was the same kid that was in Road to Perdition? I did not know that. Tyler Hutchinson, yeah. And I can't believe that, man. I was like, dude, I'm old, man. I remember that kid in that movie. Ben, have you saw that movie with Tom Hanks? You know what I'm talking about? With
Road to Perdition? No, I don't.
Yeah, go check it out. Tom Hanks.
I remember when it came out, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was in it. It was
Yeah.
great. It's basically one of those kind of like that's one of the last movies for what's his name? The great actor. Paul Newman was in it too. But the kid that played Tom Hanks' son in that, and
Wow.
he grew up into be, you know, and he was also in Teen Wolf. I don't know if you guys saw that on MTV back in the day.
Oh, on the Teen
Main
Wolf
actor,
series.
yeah, the
Oh,
Teen Wolf
really?
MTV show. Yeah, he played one of the characters. I never watched that show, but I think he came from that. So, but he's really good as Superman. I mean, I don't know what it is. I think he carries that. It's like obviously he looks the part, right? You know, you gotta
Yeah.
have some, you know, white guy, you know, the hair and the square jaw. That's half the battle. But then the other battle is just like this innate goodness that emanates from him. Is like, hey, I'm just a guy, just trying my best, man. I'm just from Kansas, you know, just that simple kind of guy. You know, I'm trying to help out. And so when they cast him, and then they finally brought in his the actresses that plays his wife Lois, it was really good, and I think everybody kind of was that liked it and thought it was great. And they even did in the crisis. I saw that they brought in back what's his name, the guy that played in Smallville. Remember he showed up.
Oh yeah. What's his name? Blanking on his name.
Yeah.
No, but see, well, he's on what? He's on Lucifer too, right? He's on.
Oh, he is. Oh, I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah, he was there for like a season.
Okay, I gotta check it out. Yeah. So anyway, so I think everybody kind of liked those characters, the Superman and Lois character from, I guess, the Crisis and Supergirl, and so I guess they spun them off to their own show, and you know, so that's kind of where we are now with the Arrowverse. And so I think, to your point, you know, you kind of hinted at it. You know, this is kind of a new version of Superman, where with the multiverse being rewritten and basically everything kind of synced together. Superman and Lois now have twin boys, teenage boys. And so now, you know, we have kind of like that CW.
So wait, we're not spoiling anything on this one, are we? Or are we?
Do you want to? We can talk a little. Do you want to? We can talk a little bit about it because there's some interesting things happening here.
You know,
in the last 2 episodes, they did some very interesting things. That might be.
Spoiler alert. How about that? Let's just get into it because we may cover it again. Spoiler alert. All right, this is kind of interesting what they did.
Let's go.
So, I'm just giving the high level context, but Superman and Lois, basically, you know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you know, as a person, I have 2 kids, you know, older guy, you know, married. I thought it was really affecting, like that pilot episode, like that first 10, 20 minutes where they show him just like, you know, just a regular guy, man, you know, dealing with his kids growing up and not having the perfect life he thought, getting laid off from the Bugle, so having to relocate.
What was great was like the contrast, right? Where because they really blew their whole wad on the action scenes. So you have some like major, huge, you know, bang out Superman fight scenes, throwing people through things, whatever, and then immediately he comes home, and you know he's got teenage boys who don't give a fuck. Or, you know, they don't know he's Superman, and like you were late. I missed my appointment. And he's got like one son who's kind of has anxiety issues, and then the other son is like the you know the golden boy, popular you know football star and all that, right? And he's kind of failing as a father, and getting, you know, fired from his job and all that, right? And I thought that was like actually kind of a stroke of brilliance, because you can even hear it in the scoring where they have big booming musical score and then no music and silence when he's at home. Right.
Okay.
Which is like, oh, okay. So
we're man, Andy bring that deep insight, man. He might replace us. The score, shit. I'm start listening to the score when I watch these things. No,
but I mean, really, I mean, they were like really making some interesting kind of cinematic choices, which I thought was kind of cool.
And you know what? The best Superman stories, in my opinion, is, you know, obviously, you know, he's big and powerful external, but it's really those internal battles, you know, as being, you know, the human battles, I think make the best Superman stories. And that's what they're trying to bring back, right? You know, because, you know, it's just hard to, you know, that's why Superman's probably not a compelling character enough in this in the cinematic universe, unfortunately, now, because he doesn't have a lot of, you know, he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. So it's kind of hard to find something that's just gonna, you know, could he possibly die from this or something like that, right? As long as he stay away from kryptonite, he's all right, man. Leave him alone. So, but it's like, but when he has an internal, like you said, he's failing as a father, even though you can like move mountains and shit, that's powerful. So I thought that was good.
I almost threw my vitamin water at the screen when when they brought out the kryptonite, and Superman was kind of like, no, don't worry, I'm okay. I was like, CW, how dare you? What are you? But I stuck with it because I saw that they were going somewhere, and I'm digging what they're doing here. So I'm actually with you guys on this one. Thanks for putting me on.
Ben is on the tail, man. So what made you? I mean, obviously, Andy's recommendation. I started talking about it. What makes you think this could be a different version of some of the other CW stuff we've been watching?
Usually when they try to go off into their own direction, and just start making up stuff, it does fall back into that, teeny bopper, kind of funny little weird dramas. But I think the way they did this one, it kind of started leaning on the tense side of those teeny bopper dramas. Thinking back to the tensions from stuff like, Supernatural, where it's, you still got the teen drama, but it's that tense side of it. I don't even know how to describe it because I honestly don't spend a lot of time there. But with this show, it kept me interested long enough, and somewhere along the way, exactly mid-season, it's 12, 15 episodes. I forgot how many. I don't know how many.
6 or 7.
Superman and Lowe.
Not too many.
But how many?
It's up to 7 episodes right now.
But how many total?
I don't know, actually. I don't know how long this season.
Yeah, they took a long break after the 4th one, I think, and then they're back, and then I think they're gonna take another break. So
because it held me with enough interest in the lore, because it just held me with enough interest with the lore and what they could be doing and what they're leading up to get me to episodes 6 and 7. And both of those were highly interesting. So I was like, oh, okay, now we're doing something different with the lore, with Superman. We get to see some other things happen. I'm in for all of that, and I'll look over the goofiness, and I'm in for it.
Go real quick. Let's do a pivot. So usually we do a recap on like the Bad Batch and all that, but what we'll do this episode, we'll just do a recap of like the 6 and 7 episodes of Superman and Lois, and since we can kind of talk about that, so this is when we can kind of get into spoiler territory more into these last episodes. We can kind of cover that for this, and then everyone next week we'll go back into the Bad Batch, and Loki. But this is a good time to check in on Superman and Lois. So what were you about to say, Andy? Is it specific to these episodes or just in general about the?
In general, actually, this kind of gets into what you're talking about, right? So like this core premise of we have 2 sons, one is the quarterback, one is the social anxiety kid, and of course, it turns out that social anxiety problem child, goth boy, is the one who develops powers, right? Which suddenly is a point of conflict because Clark Kent, who's already having problems connecting to his problem son, now has a new way to connect with him through training him on his powers. Mm. But of course, the powers become an expression of his, mild autism stand-in, allegory, right? Which I think was like a really kind of aha for me, right? Particularly in some of the more recent episodes where he develops his super hearing, and it's like literally like my sister used to teach, and like I've met some of her students who like literally are there with headphones on because they can't deal with all of the sounds and all the stimuli, and so to kind of bring that into an allegorical hero thing, I just thought was great. Was just kind of brilliant, right?
Yeah, and with that being said, there's a lot of allegory going on here. So they introduced this character also recently. We'll get into a little bit. And again, everyone is spoiler territory, so we've already started to spoil things. So the last couple episodes, there was especially in the first episode, there was a character Captain Luthor that they introduced, right? Had the whole battle suit and everything, right? Ready to go after Superman. And so, spoiler alert, they revealed that he's actually John Henry Irons. So for those that don't know, that's a famous character in Superman lore. Shaq D, also known as Steel. And they reimagined this character. Basically, he's come from a different universe, and he happened to be married to Lois Lane in that universe, and has a daughter, from that universe. And so he came because in his universe, Superman went bad, right? And so he's trying to basically. I still don't understand that leap of logic. Like, okay, now I got to go to all these different universes and kill Superman, but that's a whole nother topic. But so he is going on this revenge mission, right? To kind of, and it was kind of interesting how they revealed it, right? Did you catch that reveal when they did it? When he came out with the big hammer? Is that when you knew that was Steel, or when did you Andy or Ben was it shocking to you when you found that out?
They dropped the name John Henry Irons a little before the hammer reveal.
That's right.
And right when they did that, I pulled the Shaq face of it. Just I started like rubbing my chin, and eyes got a little wide. I was like, oh, okay, they gave us the slip. They threw us off the trail with the whole recognizing him as Luthor, but it really wasn't anything to do with that. It was just kind of like, I'm using this technology, and the technology recognizes my voice as Luthor, so whatever. But yeah, they totally threw you off the trail with that, and the way it just came together, I was like, okay, that's fun. You got the hammer. He's building something. Not good job, guys. I gotta give him props for that. That was sweet.
Did not see that coming, man. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna pick stretch for a Superman character, thinking of John Henry Irons, it was like, wow, okay, I love it, and it makes sense. I mean, so because in the world, well, recently, it was even in comic books is portrayed as a black character, and so it's kind of interesting how they just kind of carried that forward. But they've been doing a lot of what they call race bending a little bit. So if he was Luthor in another dimension, I didn't really bat an eye to that, when they kind of said that at first. But then, when they started saying John Henry Iron, and of course that hammer came out. It's the hammer time. Let's do it. So, So what do you think, Andy? I mean, what do you think this show can go, man? I mean, so looks like it started off these first 7 episodes pretty high bar. I mean, they've laying out some things, interesting things with what's it called, X Kryptonite or Kryptonite X, and how it's changing people. So, what are your thoughts on where this could go?
I mean, they've been setting up all this stuff with Morgan Edge. And actually, I mean, I do say, like, we haven't really talked much about Lois, but I mean, they're doing some cool things with Lois too, who is having to adjust to being a small town reporter, and is still kind of getting drawn into her aggressive city style of reporting is coming to a head with the small town, kind of getting overrun by big corporate guy Morgan Edge, and there's a lot of interesting, allegory even to that, right? I mean, we're seeing these kind of themes of small town America getting Walmartized by a guy who's basically mining kryptonite and using it to
experiment on people. Yeah,
and experiment on people. That I gotta say, I'm accepting it. It bugged me during Smallville too, but I always kind of hate when kryptonite has effects on humans.
Yeah. It's just like sprinkle some kryptonite on. Let's why is this guy like this? Oh, kryptonite.
That to me is just a cheat, but like, fine, okay, I accept it.
Real quick, you're right. We kind of glossed over Lois, and it's not fair because it is Superman and Lois, and I do like the actress. She's doing a great job playing. And you can tell that she's probably the smarter of the two, which is how it should be. And he's always like, what do you say, Lois? Let's do it. He's kind of like the lunkhead is just, okay, how should we handle the boys? And that's how you think Superman should act, right? Just, following what she says, and she's always like a couple steps ahead of him and everything.
But even as she's kind of digging up, this mystery of Morgan Edge and what he's doing, I think they've been pacing that kind of Cold War, so to speak, out quite well. It's been interesting.
Okay. And he's actually, I didn't know he was actually in the comic books, right? And I think he was in some other TV shows too. So I did not know, man. It's superhero TV shows and movies, man. They can never want for a character. They're like, look, we'll find a character somewhere that existed.
we need someone not Lex Luthor.
Yeah, who can be used? Max Lord, or we could use Morgan Edge, or we could use. So yeah, I'm digging it. Any predictions, real quick, on where Lois and Clark could go, or what you guys think?
Go ahead.
I mean, we can presume that that Steel is going to become part of the super team, right? So, like, he will become a supporting character. If we've learned anything from the rest of the Arrowverse, he will become he'll become like the guy in the chair, or something, right?
The tech guy, the tech guy
with his Winnebago of tricks. His Knight Rider.
Dude, wait, hold on, real quick. When Jonathan went into the Winnebago and he said something, and then the thing flipped over, and you saw the TVs pop up. I was, oh shit, that's Spider-Man has amazing friends.
That's awesome.
The couch turned into a damn TV. I was like, yes, Spider-Man.
I thought of Inspector Gadget, man.
Inspector Gadget.
Oh yeah, that too.
The Gadget car or the
Shackmobile.
The Shackmobile.
So what's he gonna do? Just roam the earth in his Winnebago or the Americana and just
until the story needs him.
just hanging in the Winnebago, man, driving
around across America,
getting interviews, talking to the people, kissing babies. I guess it's just.
Which is, it's like, yeah, okay, let's put some plot armor on there. It's like, okay, so here's a person that is listed as dead, former U.S. military, and now we know is actually an interdimensional traveler. Yeah, just let him drive. It's fine.
Wouldn't he want to go back? His daughter's not dead. I mean, or is she? I don't know.
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, I'm hoping the daughter's actually a really interesting character too.
She's coming back. She's coming back. Obviously,
she's got to come back.
I mean, because obviously, they hinted at it. Lois said that they would have named her daughter Catherine, and and then Jonathan's would have loved to meet you, sis. So she'll show up in this.
Okay, you mentioned that. Actually, I thought that was a really interesting episode. And like topic that I don't feel like I've seen portrayed often, right? But this most recent episode, Lois kind of confronts her trauma of going through a lost pregnancy.
Yeah.
And how she is kind of scarred from it. And I mean, that's it's just a really interesting, unusual story to see, which I thought was well handled.
So far we're giving 2 thumbs up to Superman Lois. Arrowverse, we're kind of right now where it's going, but definitely love Superman Lois. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm down for this. As long as they don't end it. Okay, so the thing with the switch, and as Andy said, you have the super team of good guys and all that. Now you've got the rest of the season to build up a bad guy that you probably should have been building up a little more from the get-go. So the only thing I hope is that this doesn't become a soft bad guy that's just kind of in the way of me finishing the story. It's just like, get this red, yellow, orange kryptonite fool off the screen so we can roll credits and have some cliffhanger. Let's go.
Well, we know Morgan Edge is probably the series big bad, right? But then Laura's probably going to be the season 1 big bad, right? That's who Superman's going to fight, because it look like she has control of her powers the most. Laura, his right hand.
Oh yeah,
the woman.
Yeah.
she's going around, murking folks in the middle
That's
in the
right.
road, and she's got control of her powers a little bit better, and it looks like it's taking more with her. So I think that we'll see a battle there.
So you're
But
expecting like a long running, evil Superman kind of evil kryptonite thing that's way past this one season?
I would assume. I don't think they're going to get it all done. I mean, the pace they're going, it doesn't seem like it's in a rush to tell that longer story. It's more around the family dynamic, right?
Well, that and they've built up so much around this allegory of Morgan Edge's like corporation basically
Taking over.
bulldozing this small town. So I mean that thread I think is going to last a few seasons, if not for the run of the series.
So does Luthor exist at all?
Well, okay. In theory, their Luthor is currently fighting Supergirl. And is played by John Cryer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, because you're right, because they're in the same universe as Supergirl,
Yeah.
but it's multiverse shenanigans, right? So they
Yeah.
can recast that if they need to. But yes, yeah.
Okay, you guys can't see it here, but when they said recast, Theo just did like a little shaking motion, like you're just sprinkling salt over the story, just like, yeah, whatever, man, it'll all work
Salt
out.
Bay, little Salt Bay on it, man.
How's that taste? Good, yeah.
Well, it's like what? I mean, 10 years ago, it was giant interspatial portals. Everyone had to have a giant interspatial portal and then an invasion force, right? So now it's everyone's got to have multiverse, alternate universes.
Yeah. Well, I think Superman's battles really is more internal, right? For this series, it doesn't seem like they're really going after the big bad thing. Is more like, John. If anything, I could see him and his son, Jordan. The one that's developing powers, maybe crossing paths like that, having fights and stuff like that.
Invincible.
Actually,
yeah. Oh no, no.
You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, this might be a different universe than the Arrowverse, because in Crisis it was established they had one child, right, and then they were gonna take that child and raise it on. Where did they go? Did they go to like the city of Kandor or some shit? I don't remember where they went. They went off to space somewhere, right? So, and that was why Supergirl was like left as the main protector of Earth for that. So this might be just a whole other universe, actually.
So man, we're so excited. So definitely, hey everyone, check out Superman and Lois if you didn't hear from us, but we definitely love it, and it's worthwhile. Arrowverse in general. We'll keep a tab on it from now on. But Andy, thank you for just showing up on this podcast. We really appreciate it. And definitely, where can everyone listen, learn more about what you guys are working on, what podcasts you have? Please give it a shout out.
Yeah, so I'm on two shows for the Geekish Network. That's on Twitch, twitch.tv/Geekish Network. I am on Pod Squadron podcast, which is a Star Wars focused show, which is on Saturdays at 8. And I'm also on Pan Geekery, which is on Monday nights. So yeah, come check us out.
So man, you were just busy. So thank you, man, for taking time with us. But hey, everyone, that's our show for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us here. Please like and subscribe and comment at Show Versus Business on Twitter or Instagram. Please listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you so much for listening to this segment of the Show Versus Business podcast. We want to bring you a relevant and fresh perspective every week. So please subscribe, check out our other videos, and definitely share your thoughts below. Peace.